Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. I'm really glad to have you guys here today. Listen, where did Bitcoin come from? I've made a number of theories on my channel as to where did Bitcoin originate from. I don't believe in Satoshi Nakamoto. They found a few guys, that they say are Satoshi, and they've been looking for a Satoshi, and they've pinned it on this guy or this guy, but really, I believe that it was a group of scientists working on a project. Now that they could have been actually back engineering a project, or they could have been working on it fresh. Either way, it doesn't really matter that much. Now we have Bitcoin. Well, that's what matters. But what is Bitcoin for? I believe now at this point, I know what Bitcoin is actually intended to do. There's a war going on. There's a war going on that's all about gold. It's all about control of the world. It's West against East. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, these countries are all linked in together, and they've all accumulated. Even North Korea has a lot of gold. This gold is a weapon. It's a financial weapon. What has the West got? An awful lot of the West's gold has went east. Let's get right in there and let's open up the charts and see what's going on here. The first thing I want to talk about and take a look at is this article from Zero Hedge. It says, Russia to China. Together, we can rule the world. And I'm going to tell you what, this is not something new. Their plan is, they know that the West is in a period of decline and collapse. And they know that they've drained most of the gold, and they're sitting on tremendous reserves. Russia's got like over 20,000 tons. China's got over 20,000 tons. They're not letting you know how much gold they have. They've accumulated these bars, and they've been accumulating for a long time for a reason. And the reason is power. The Communist Party of China, power. Russia, power. They want this power, the power that gold's going to give them. And they're very, very intelligent. They're very smart. And what they're putting their bets on is gold. Real gold. Now, the People's Bank of China, when Bitcoin hit $1,150, on the first massive run-up in Bitcoin, hit $1,150, the People's Bank of China quite literally attacked Bitcoin with everything they had. They were quite literally trying to destroy it. It's because Bitcoin is digital gold. I believe the purpose for Bitcoin goes back to these intelligence agencies and their financial war games that they actually had, where they played war games on a computer against West against East. And they ran scenarios. And China's weapon that China would be using against the West would be real gold in these war games. Now, there's people that played in these war games, quite literally, and one of the men that played in these war games is right here. You probably all know him. He actually worked with the CIA in these war games, West against East. And in these war games and in these scenarios, China was using gold as a weaponized weapon against the West's financial system. Okay, Jim Rickards. But I'm going to play this short clip of Jim Rickards, and these guys know that we're heading toward a financial collapse, and they know there's no way out for the West because it's structural problems within the West's economy, and you cannot paper over structural problems with liquidity. It just won't work. Jim Rickards knows it won't work. He knows these structural problems won't be solved, and he knows eventually we're going to go into decline and collapse. He's on our side. He wants us to win this financial war somehow. Okay, let's listen to what he's got to say here for a second.
Inflationary crash, or you can keep going and eventually cause a loss of confidence in the dollar and then have a hyperinflationary crash. So you've got a crash either way. One looks like the Great Depression, one looks like the late 70s, but worse. Those are the only two paths, but there's no other path. There's no way we can just sort of taper it, reduce it, finesse it, try to get growth on a self-sustaining path. The reason for that is we're in a depression. And depressions are structural problems. They require structural solutions. You cannot use a liquidity solution for a structural problem. You need a structural solution. So there's nothing the Fed can do to solve the depression or to change, as I say, the structural problems in the U.S. economy. I mean, they're assuming, they say, we're going to print money until unemployment gets to 6.5%. Who says there's any relationship between printing money and unemployment? There's no necessary relationship there.
Yeah.
One's monetary, one's structural. So you need to do other things. So therefore, they're going to keep going, but they think they're right. I may be a critic, and I may be able to point out why they're wrong, why their models are wrong, and why this has kind of no good exit. But they think they're right, and they're going to keep going and kind of drive the bus over.
Okay, so we see what's going on here. Anyway, here's the thing I want to get to. Is we got this war going on between China and Russia working together, and the whole Western financial system. Now, China and Russia, they are working to make these banks, and they're working to make a system that can imitate the SWIFT system, and they're working to bypass the dollar in unilateral trade. They're also working to bypass the dollar in the trade for oil and so on. With China's already has oil future contracts that are not denominated in U.S. dollars. They're waiting. Russia and China both are waiting for the collapse to come of the Western financial system that they know is inevitable. They're hoping to create a new gold standard worldwide, and they'll have all the gold. The West, you think they don't know this? Especially the ones in the West who created Bitcoin. Bitcoin is their answer. This is why China and Russia hate it, because it's a weapon of war too, just like gold is. And the West, they're going to use Bitcoin. They're going to put their faith in Bitcoin as becoming the new digital gold and overtaking gold. So the West this is why the Federal Reserve has never come out and banned Bitcoin. There's never been a unilateral ban of Bitcoin in the Western countries. Secretly behind the scenes, they want it to grow and flourish, to fight and combat the gold of the East. So the East is for gold, the West is for cryptocurrencies. Behind the scenes. This is what I believe is going on behind the scenes. And this war is going to come to a head-to-head battle very soon between Bitcoin and gold as to which one's going to actually win. Now, these guys, they can see things coming into the future. It says Bitcoin will be everywhere in 2 years' time, Tim Draper. Bitcoin will replace fiat money as the primary means of payment in the nearest future. You know? A famous cryptocurrency enthusiast and billionaire, Tim Draper, believes that Bitcoin will be everywhere in just 2 years, while fiat will become archaic. Over time, they'll start taking Bitcoin. I'm going to be pretty much moving everything out of banks. There is no reason to hold in the shelves when you've got gold. And he says gold, he means Bitcoin as gold. He said in an interview with Fox Business. He is sure that mass adoption will be driven by the general public. People will realize the benefits of decentralized money. You know what? I believe what's going to really drive mass adoption very soon is the Lightning Network. And I think that the Lightning Network has been there all along. I think they've been moving this thing along in stages. I think Bitcoin originally was a beta test. This is what they do. You ask any kid, out there that plays games, likes to play the computer games. And the kids will get in on the beta test of a computer game. What the beta test is all about is the developers, they work on the game and they get it so that it's about 90% done. Good enough to play, right? They put it out there and they let all the kids play it in what they call a beta test. It's in beta. And the kids test the game for them. That's what Bitcoin was going through from 2009 up until, say, 2017 or whatever. It was going through a beta test. We didn't have version 1.0. Version 1.0 is when they complete the beta test and then they're ready to run. They're ready to run with it, right? The Lightning Network, I think, is in beta right now. but it's working successfully. The whole thing's working successfully, and I think the overall plan is for the West to dominate the world with digital gold, Bitcoin. Right? It's the king, and it's going to be very hard to unseat it. These other coins like JP Morgan coin, whatever, they're all pegged to the dollar. Tether and these other coins are all pegged to the dollar. When the dollar starts going down, they're going to go down with it, and they're going to be fighting against Bitcoin, the king, which is not pegged to the dollar at all. There's a lot going on with all of this. You got me in the pits doing the research for you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll keep you updated. Bye-bye, guys.